Hello! I know it has been a while. Things have been crazy, things have been hectic, lots has been happening. I've been doing a lot of catch up and I still have not been able to catch up at all, but I'm finally here, finally able to make these videos for you, and this is my September and October movie wrap up. I unfortunately both in September and October didn't get to watch too many movies, but I will talk about them anyway. So as always, we are going to start with the movies that I have rewatched and just let you know which ones I rewatched, and then we'll tell you the new movies I watched and then go more in depth with my thoughts on those. The movies I rewatched in September are Love, Simon, American Animals, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, Pitch Perfect 1, 2, and 3, Ella Enchanted, Date Night, Letters to Juliet, Mulan, Mean Girls, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, Zombies, and The Maze Runner. Now for the movies that I rewatched in October, which are The Sound of Music, Amadeus, The Death Cure, The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Jurassic Park, The Haunted Mansion, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Wizards of Waverly Place, Hocus Pocus, Halloween Town, and Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge, Twitches and Twitches 2, The Visit, and Zombies. So you can tell I seem to really have liked Zombies. I keep watching it. Now onto the movies that I watched for the first time in September. And the first one is Kin. I have to say I was very surprised by this. I did not think I was going to like it as much as I did. This is a very science fiction, brotherly love type movie. We follow this little boy. His older brother is getting out of jail and is coming home. There ends up being a gang, and then also the little kid finds this like weird gun that's I might be with like aliens or who knows with what, but it's like this weird gun, and it ends up bringing the people who want that gun to him, but we also have a gang following these guys, and the brother and like the brothers basically have to like go on this like trip out of town. It's very hard to explain, but it's very science fiction-y, and I actually had a blast watching this movie. I really do like that they focus a lot on the relationship between the brothers, because they do fight like brothers, but they also have this bond where, you know, the little brother looks up to him and the big brother is very protective of the younger brother. I just thought that that brotherly connection was done very well, and I love that that was like a huge part of the story. It's very action-packed, like there is a lot going on. And like, because there's like so many people after these two brothers, that it just amps up everything. There wasn't really a lot that I didn't like about this movie, which is surprising, because I think like not a lot of people liked this movie, but I really liked it. I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the acting, I enjoyed the cinematography. I thought the use of color was very well done. I liked a lot about this movie. I would really even love a second movie, because with the way they ended it, they could easily make a second movie if they wanted to. One issue I think I have with it, it's not a big issue, it's just kind of like the build-up of the story kind of took a while, and I also felt like the separate like stories and all the separate people that we're following kind of took a while to connect to each other. But other than that, everything was great, and I loved this movie. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next movie I watched is Operation Finale. This is a World War II story about these group of people that are trying to take down the last known alive person who was behind the Holocaust. I cannot remember this person's name, but of course this person's in hiding, has changed their name, and it's been very difficult to find him, but they think they might have found him, and so they are going after him to bring him to trial and I guess take him to jail for the crimes he committed for the Holocaust. I will say I was not expecting much from this movie. I feel like this is one of those movies where I'm not gonna hate it, but I'm also probably not gonna like it, and that's exactly what happened. I was like straight down the middle with my feelings on this movie, because there were things I liked, but then there were things that I didn't like. It was very boring at times. I wish there was a little bit more action, a little bit more oomph. There was just like something missing, something lacking that kind of made it a little bit more boring. The acting was stunning, and the dialogue was incredible. I really loved the dialogue. I do think the ending needed more explanation. I was very confused at the end with what was going on. I felt like it was a lot of looks that people were giving to each other, but I was not sure what the looks were trying to say. It felt very long, which I think is why it also felt very boring at times, just because I was just like, is this over yet? It was still a very like compelling historical thriller. It just, again, was boring at times. So I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next movie I watched was Sierra Burgess is a Loser. This is a Netflix film that I was highly anticipating, and oh my god, it was, it was not great. I was really looking forward to this because I was really liking the concept of the movie. The concept is one of those concepts where it's like either it can be done very well or it cannot be done very well. And of course it wasn't done very well. But also Noah Centineo was in this movie, and he is like the most popular heartthrob right now. Like everyone's in love with him, which I understand because I am too. And so I was like, oh my god, he's in this movie, I have to watch it. So this movie is about this girl who is not, you know, classically beautiful, and she's also like the loser at the school. And then we also have the very pretty, popular girl who's kind of mean. But then they end up needing each other for different reasons. The popular girl needs to do better at school, become smarter. And then the other girl ends up finding out that this really hot guy is texting her thinking that she is the pretty popular girl. And so she's like, I'm gonna let him still think that I'm you, but you need to help me out with this. It's just a movie about catfishing. But it's supposed to be like a cute rom-com, and it doesn't really hit that mark. I feel like a lot of the movie was like glorifying catfishing, which is not good. There was also a scene where, what is it called? She kisses him, but like he thought he was kissing the other girl, and it was just very awkward. It was very awkward to watch a lot of these scenes. It was so awkward and like cringy and uncomfortable to watch a lot of them. I also think they focused more on the build-up than the end, because that end was horrible. It felt like they were just like more focusing on building the whole story up and building that whole relationship up, to then just like the end was like, oh, we've got like 20 minutes left. Like, that's what it felt like to me. I really hated the ending. There was so much wrong with the ending. Basically, not just also was it rushed, but the not so pretty girl, she never apologized. Can I just say, she never apologized for the things that she did. And I also say the things that she did that were like mean felt very uncharacteristic to her. Like, it did not feel like that's anything of what her character would have done. But she never apologized to anybody. She just like wrote a song and sent the song, and the song was supposed to be her apology, but it's like, I'm sorry, that does not count as an apology. Like, I need to hear I'm sorry. Like, that's what I need to hear. Also, it was very unrealistic in the sense where I don't want to ruin the ending, but at the same time, I kind of need to explain this. Just for spoilers' sake, because I don't want to ruin spoilers for people who do still want to watch this movie and haven't yet, I'll put my hand up, and when my hand is down, that is when the spoilers are done. So, basically, it was very unrealistic to me in the sense that she ended up with the guy in the end. Like, I don't think that is what should have happened. I don't think that is what would have happened. What I would have liked better is if she and the pretty, like the not so pretty girl and the pretty girl, if they instead were like, you know what, none of us ended up with the guy in the end, but at least we got this really great friendship. Like, I would have way better preferred that. That would have made such a better ending, a more realistic ending, and it just killed me. I didn't like it at all. Okay. Spoiler over. So, like, the last 20 minutes are pretty much, like, improbable, but the rest of the story was at least charming enough, so I didn't, like, totally hate it. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It was fine. The next movie I watched was Peppermint, and I was surprised that I wanted to see this movie because this isn't the typical kind of movie I go for, but I really do like Jennifer Garner, and seeing Jennifer Garner as an action hero, I was like, done, totally seeing it. I want this in my life. And I was not mad about the movie. It has a very low rating. Not a lot of critics liked it, but I actually liked it. How do I explain this movie? Basically, Jennifer Garner, she was a mom, she had a husband, she had a child, and then one very tragic day, they both get shot, and she sees who shoots them, and it's like these members of a gang. But then she starts going crazy because the guys that shot her kids are getting away with it. They're not going to jail and whatever. So she disappears for 5 years, and then she comes back and she starts exacting her revenge on every single person that wrongly accused these guys. I really like Jennifer Garner as a badass. I thought she did a great job. And even though I actually didn't care too much for the story, I still enjoyed it. There was nothing special about this movie. Like, there was nothing that really made it stand out from all the other movies that are like this one, like within the same genre. So it was just like your typical thriller mystery, I guess. Crime, action movie. I don't think Peppermint should have been the title. I don't think that was a really great title. That doesn't really have a lot of oomph or emphasis to the movie or to the story. It has like one little scene, one little part, but I don't think that it was big enough to be the title of the movie. It was also predictable. I kind of knew some of the things that were about to happen and some of the people that were lying and not saying, you know, being their true selves. Like, I saw a lot of it coming. It was very predictable, but again, yeah, I still enjoyed it, but I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. The next movie I watched in September is A Simple Favor. I was very excited about this movie. This is definitely a mystery thriller with like a very like sugar-coated way about it, if that makes any sense. These two women become friends because both their kids go to the same school and they become friends, so like then ultimately the moms are hanging out when the kids are hanging out. Blake Lively's character is very like sharp and very mysterious, while Anna Kendrick's character is very much like a mommy blogger. She's like super nice, super sweet. But then Blake Lively's character goes missing and is presumed dead. It just becomes this like weird mystery thing that goes on. I don't want to give too much away in case people want to see this movie, because I do recommend this movie if you're into thrillers. I thought it was very good. It's very aesthetically pleasing. Like, if you have like OCD, like this is the movie for you to watch. Everything is so aesthetically pleasing. Everything just looks so in place. Everything's perfect. It's very colorful and bright. I also really love that, the contrast of how like there's so many like pastel-y colors and it's so bright and vibrant, but like the story is so dark. I hated Anna Kendrick's character. She kept pissing me off, but like I get it, that's her character, that's who she is, that's how she's supposed to be portrayed. But it was just like annoying watching her sometimes. There was one scene in the movie that literally made me and every single person in the audience when I was in the movie theater watching this, like it made all of us groan, and actually the lady sitting next to me left during that scene. She was like, "Ugh, no, I can't," and just like left. It's the one scene in the movie that I hate the most, and I can't say what it is because of spoilers, but it happened too fast and it was too predictable of like a thing to happen in this type of movie that it was just it was kind of needed, but at the same time I really wish it wasn't needed. This movie had a lot of twists. Like, I felt like every scene there was like a new twist happening, which I liked, but I feel like it got to a point where sometimes there were just too many twists, especially at the end. It was like twist after twist after twist after twist, and I was like, I can't follow now. There's too many twists going on. So I liked that there were a lot of twists. It made it very interesting, and like you never knew what was going to happen. But then again, it just got a little too out of hand with the twists. But it was shot very beautifully. The costumes were really pretty and just very perfect. Like, the costumes were perfect. I do think the ending, even though it had like so many twists, I do think it was really great. And it was shocking and just like the perfect ending for this type of movie. I do like the ending better than the beginning as well. Just because the beginning kind of like, I was like, can we get the build up here? Let's get the build up, let's get going. So I gave this movie 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then the last movie I watched in the month of September is A House with a Clock in Its Walls. I was excited about this movie just because I love Jack Black and everything he's in. And of course, Jack Black did an amazing job in this movie. I thought this character was perfect for Jack Black. Anyway, this movie is very fantastical, and it follows this little boy who's, his parents have died, and so he is now being taken in by his uncle, who he finds out is a warlock, and he finds out that the warlock that was living in that house before his uncle was evil and left a clock in the walls that they can't seem to find and they haven't been able to find. It's starting to make some bad things happen. It was one of those movies where I thought it was gonna be scary, but it actually wasn't scary, like, at all. I do think the ending got a little too out there. I'm sorry, but that ending was just so crazy and unbelievable, but, like, not in a good way, like, in a bad way. Also, the kid's acting, like, the main guy in the movie, the kid, his acting was so over the top. It killed me. Like, it bugged me so much. I did want some more backstory of the adults. I felt like we got, like, a little hint of their backstories. Jack Black's character and Cate Blanchett's character, but I wanted more. And I loved the setting and the production design. That was very good too. I felt okay about this movie. I did like it. I did very much like it. I think maybe I was expecting a little bit more out of it, but not to say I didn't like it, because I did give it 4 out of 5 stars. Now on to October. I only watched 5 new movies in the month of October. Again, October was the month where I was trying to play catch up and it was just not happening. The first one I watched is A Star is Born. Now I have to be honest, I did watch this movie last year. If you watched one of my vlogs from last year, there was one day or one night when I went to go see an early screening of a movie. That was this movie. So I did get to see this movie a year ago. I do still very much love this movie. Oh my god, it left the same impact that it did the first time I watched it. It's very well written and very well paced too. Like, I love the pacing of this movie. It's so heartbreaking, and it really packs a big punch in this story. Oh my god. Like, sorry, I'm like thinking about it and I'm crying. Like, every time I watch this movie, I am literally bawling. I don't care if there's tons of people around me. I am crying my eyes out. Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper's performances are just incredible. Not just in the acting, but in their singing and their, like, on stage presence when they're singing on the stage. Like, they give a really great performance together and separately by themselves. I still very much enjoyed this modern twist on an old classic. I know my mom has seen these movies before. I don't think I've ever watched the classic, like the older versions of this movie. Have I ever watched them with you, Mom? Probably not. I don't remember. But I still really liked this movie a lot. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend people go watch this movie. The next movie I watched is The Hate U Give. And I read this book last year and it made my top 10 books of the year. It was actually at the number 2 spot. So I was really excited for the movie. And I have to say, I definitely liked the book better than the movie. The movie was not that great. Maybe it's because I had such high expectations for the movie. Goes to school in a predominantly white private school, but she lives in a predominantly black, poor community. And you kind of see both sides of her. Like, the side of her when she's around, like, her townspeople and her black friends, and then how she is when she's around her white friends. She even has a white boyfriend. She is getting a ride home from this guy from one of the, like, parties at her community or whatever with all the kids, and they get pulled over by a cop. The cop shoots the black kid and he ends up dying. And so it becomes national news that, a white cop killed a black kid for no reason whatsoever and also pulled them over for no reason. And of course she is the witness and she now has to, like, speak up. And it's a very, I feel like I'm doing a terrible job explaining this story, but it's a very powerful message and it's a very powerful story in general. I really truly love this story, and I think Amandla Stenberg does a really great job of portraying Star and giving Star the voice that she needs. That's a lot about what the book and the movie is about speaking up and using your voice. The main issues I think I had with the movie, because I don't think it was that great of a book to movie adaptation, but what I really didn't like about the movie that I felt was missing because it was in the book but it was missing in the movie. I wanted more of her boyfriend, Chris, because he was supposed to be there at the riots with her. He was supposed to have his eyes opened by what he saw there, and it was supposed to have created like a stronger bond between the two of them, and I just don't think we got that because he wasn't there. And he wasn't in the movie as much as he is in the book, and I really, really didn't like that. And then also the character of Haley, I don't think her character was translated very well to the movie, and I don't think it's because of the acting. I think it's because of the way she was written. I felt like in the book she was written in a way where I could connect with her more. Like, yes, like the things that she was saying was like horrible, and she didn't realize that the way she was saying those things was actually like horrible, but I still felt like, oh, I can actually see that person in real life being a thing, and like, but in the movie it was kind of like she came across more bitchy in a sense than she does in the book. And also there's like that big scene between Haley and Star that really like kind of destroys their friendship in a sense, but it's so much scarier in the movie, and I just like, I did not like that at all, especially because in the book their conversation leads Haley to like by the end realize the things that she was saying and learns, and they become friends again, and it's like because she has opened her eyes and she has learned and like whatever, and so they didn't have to like quite lose their friendship, but like in the movie she never learned that the things that she was saying and doing was wrong. There was also like no character development with her, and like their friendship was not translated very well. I was not happy with the character of Haley in the movie. But I do think they did a very good job of showing Star's different worlds when she's around white people, when she's around black people. They did a very good job distinguishing the two and having them come together kind of like at the end. I liked the look of the film. I liked the message because it's like very powerful, but it's also still very hopeful and very honest at the same time too. I think that was very well done. I also loved that it was not sugar-coated. Like the whole topic, especially by the end, it was not sugar-coated. It was still very YA. I felt okay about it. I wasn't too happy about it in the sense of like a book to movie adaptation, but I do think it's a movie that everyone needs to see. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because I still enjoyed it, but not as much as I wanted to. The next movie I watched is Bad Times at the El Royale. This is one of those movies going in where I was like, I'm not really quite sure what to expect, but it looks fun. And I mean, it was a fun time. I enjoyed myself watching this, but it's definitely a lot darker than I thought it was gonna be. I don't know. I don't know how I didn't think it was gonna be dark. I really loved the cast. I thought the cast was great. Oh my god, they got such a star-studded, star quality cast. But it's also another movie where I really liked the look of it. Like, a lot of these movies are doing a very good job with their cinematography and their use of color, and this is one of them. It was very well done. Even the costumes were really great, and the set and the production design is really good. Like, everything just looked exquisitely stunning and beautiful in this movie. I don't know how to explain this movie at all. Basically, it takes place in a hotel in, oh good god, the 60s? I think we're in the 60s, or maybe the 70s. But it takes place at this hotel that's literally on the border of California and Nevada, so half the hotel is in Nevada, half the hotel is in California. But a lot of the people that are staying at this hotel this one particular night are all lying about something. The story was a little bit weird, but it definitely surprised me. There were a lot of things that I did not see coming, which I really liked because then I couldn't predict this story at all. The narrative was also like kind of out of order because they would show something from this character's point of view, and then they would go to this other character where it's from that character's point of view, but something else is going on while all that was just happening. So like, I don't know how to explain it, but the narrative was like very out of order, but I didn't mind it because that made certain things be revealed when they should have been revealed. I really did enjoy this movie. I thought it was very well done. So I also gave this movie 4 out of 5 stars. The next movie I watched is Tragedy Girls. This came out last year, and I wanted to watch it last year, but for some reason I just didn't. But I finally got to it this year, and it is a Josh Hutcherson movie, which is the reason I watched it and the reason it's been on my radar. It's kind of like a horror comedy. Like, it's not focused so much on the horror. Like, it's not really that scary, but it does have the horror elements to it. But it also is very funny. Not like laugh out loud funny, but just like there again were comedy elements to the movie. But this movie we follow two girls in high school. They have a blog called Tragedy Girls where they kind of follow a serial killer. They eventually like meet up with a serial killer and they want to learn with him. So they start committing their own murders just to try and get their blog page to be more popular. It's insane. It's just insane. I thought it was going to be a lot more scary going into it. But yeah, no, I think it's because it does have those comedy aspects to it, but it does have a lot of like campy and like gleeful undertones to it, and you do end up finding yourself rooting for those girls. So yeah, like I don't know why I was rooting for them the whole time, but I think that that shows the movie did a really great job of you wanting to be on their sides, even though they are clearly crazy. I wasn't completely blown away, but I did have a fun time watching it. I also thought the acting was okay. Like, it wasn't amazing, but it was just like there. It was a very good B movie. I'm very surprised that both those girls never got caught because they left so much evidence and so much DNA at these crime scenes that I don't know how they didn't get caught. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And then the last movie I watched is Murder on the Orient Express, another movie that came out last year, but I didn't get a chance to watch it, and so I finally watched it now. And I did read the book last year. It's by Agatha Christie. It's a very good book. I really enjoyed it. So I was very excited to watch. I just realized I said very a lot. But I was really excited to finally watch the movie adaptation of this book. And this movie was directed by Kenneth Branagh, who I truly do love. I think he does an amazing job at everything he does. He also plays the main character in this movie, whose name I still cannot pronounce, but it's like Hercule Poirot, something like that. This is also just a very star-studded cast. You have a lot of very big-name stars in this movie. So this is a mystery thriller following these group of people that are all on this train called the Orient Express, and a murder happens. And thankfully, Hercule Poirot is on the train to help solve the case. One of the people on the train is the murderer, and it's just trying to find out who did it and why, and a lot of secrets become uncovered, and there's twists, and it's very fun. This movie was so beautiful. It was so well shot, like not even just with like the scenery or with the use of color. It was also beautiful in just like the framing too. Like the way they framed certain shots was just genius. And just, this was just such a beautifully well shot movie. And like I said, the whole cast is amazing. Kenneth Branagh is amazing as Hercule Poirot. I do think he made the character just a little bit too diva-ish, but overall I very much enjoyed the acting of this film. I do think they spent more time on the looks of the film rather than the storytelling, because yes, I still very much loved this story and get very invested in the story, but I was still very confused by the ending because I was kind of confused with the book ending. I think the reason why I'm confused though is just because there are way too many characters, and just how they kind of all relate with each other just gets confusing. Like if we just maybe had like 2 less characters, but it's just like the way that all the characters connect with each other, it just, and there's like literally like 12 people, and it just like gets too confusing. Other than that, really loved this movie, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And that is it for the movies that I watched in September and October. I really hope you enjoyed this wrap up. I'm again sorry that it's so late, but I promise you I will come out with my November wrap ups earlier on, and I won't wait a month or more to put out these wrap ups. Definitely go check out my September and October book wrap-up, as well as my just monthly wrap-ups for September and October. And yeah, that is pretty much it. And I will see you guys later with some more videos.